EGM Network.
Hi, welcome to Silver Linings. I am one of your co-hosts. I'm Janean Barrows, and I am sitting here with my partner and friend Raul Perez in the studio, and we are extremely excited about having our guest today. We're going to discuss the topic of the golden years and making choices that help guide you into your final home environments and the things that are going to impact your quality of life. And joining us to have those discussions is Rese Garson of the Assisted Living Locators, as she is an amazing senior advocate. And I'm hoping that we shed some light on that together. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me.
Indeed.
Absolutely.
Indeed. So before we get started, we always like to have a small conversation about what your role is and why you're in it, because often the choices we make in life lead us to the field and roles that we work in. So
Absolutely. So my husband and I bought the franchise Assisted Living Locators 4 years ago. And I came into this from the medical profession. I worked at a community hospital in hyperbaric medicine for 10 years, ran the treatments, went in the chamber with patients, and I helped patients basically navigate their continuation of care per their insurances when they went back home. So a family need came up. My mother-in-law actually had a couple falls in her home in New York and came down for rehab and then went back because she was very independent, as a lot of our seniors are in her late 80s. And when the second fall came, she decided, the home was too big for her, and glad she came to that realization on her own, went into assisted living because a friend went there, saw how she was getting the socialization she needed. She was getting that she wasn't getting at home, decided to follow her, and everything was great until COVID came. COVID, of course, they became a prisoner in their own home. The socialization stopped, and that's not ideal. So we brought her down to the Keys. She did great in our home for about another year, had a couple, minor bumps, but then the time came she needed some more care that we couldn't provide in the home. Assisted living, navigating that for her. There weren't any great options in the Keys, but I do have family up this way, and we have a teenager. So I thought, okay, well, where can we be, to help? So basically, going from navigating healthcare and insurances, went to navigating, looking at all of the assisted livings to find out what is a good option for her, what is the difference between all of these. And that's how I came to navigate that for her, found the perfect fit for her, and she thrived for 3 years. And here we are. That's what helped get me into this. So once we placed her, I moved up with her, of course, as well, from the Keys. And my husband saw a franchise opportunity and said, hey, you did a great job, my mom. How about we, continue this? And here we are. I love helping seniors and other families navigate the same.
And a lot of families have no idea where to begin when those conversations start. So having an organization like Assisted Living Locators is a huge gift and often the primary solution for a lot of these families.
Absolutely. So it is a lot to navigate, just like in the medical field, right? So there are so many different components. How do we choose a place? What is a senior living community? A lot of people think, aging, I have to go into a nursing home. What is a nursing home? What is a nursing home for? Typically that's for 24/7 skilled nursing care, whereas senior living communities come in all sizes, large and small. And they have different amenities. They fit different needs. They have different licensures, different price points. Some accept Medicaid. Some are private pay. So how do we choose one from another? Same way we choose our doctors, or that we don't want to choose our doctors. We don't want to go through the white pages and say, blindly choose one and see if it works. Information is key. Knowing what those resources are is key.
I think it's great that you provide this service, because when I started, when I moved up here and I was advising clients who are mostly elderly, I would think, well, how can I find someone that can help them and guide them and give them options? Because unfortunately, I didn't know that a role like yours existed. Now I've come to realize that there are people like yourself who help not just the seniors, but the families, and figure out where would be a great place for mom or dad? What is it that they're looking for? Do they need 24-hour care?
Right.
Do they want independent living or assisted living? A small home? I mean, there's a lot of options out there, but most of these families and the individuals themselves don't really know what is out there. It's not like there's a big sign out there that says, hey, here's the 20-something locations you can pick from. So it's great having people like yourself who can say, okay, look, here's what I've learned. Here are the different areas. And let's talk about what do you want, which is the most important thing.
Absolutely. And to go along with that, so sometimes, yes, you don't know what you don't know, or you're handed a list of communities. And it is kind of like going through the white pages, right?
And they may not even fit the parameters of your budget or your social desires or your
Yes.
clinical needs. So there's a lot to that.
But, and I think you also mentioned like a list of doctors, right? Like you go to an insurance provider and they give you a list of doctors. You don't know who any of those people are unless maybe someone who hey, oh, that's my doctor. Or
Right.
I know of him because my daughter, says he's a great doctor. She's met him before. So
Yes.
we always, I think, you normally rely on other people, like maybe your mother-in-law had a friend who was going into a facility that she really enjoyed,
Yeah.
and that helps a lot, go a long way.
It sure does. And like you said, everyone's needs are different. So there's a place for everyone, but not every place is for everyone. That's where we help families navigate. So upon assessment, whether they're at home wanting to downsize, whether they're in the hospital or skilled nursing, we find out what their needs are, what their budget is, what their geographical preference is, what their lifestyle preference is. Based on that criteria, we narrow it down. Every place is different. They have different licensures, different staffing. Some have higher turnover than others. Some have deficiencies. It's just, there's so many nuances. You don't want to navigate it on your own.
I often jest that the communities are all different. The only commonality is they have a front door,
That's right.
right?
That's right.
Before we started today, we had a small conversation in the lobby, and you brought up some really valid points. We plan for our 401k. We plan for weddings. We plan for birthdays. We plan when we're going to buy a house. Any big assets, we make big plans for. We seek it out. We educate ourselves. But when we get older, whether it's fatigue or cognizance issues or space and time, or maybe you have a POA in place and they're in another state, they forget to plan for what it's like when we begin to age.
Absolutely. And that happens so often. So many times I see families who the seniors are here and the families are in another state. So, so
Florida's
two
known
things.
for that. Yeah.
Yeah. So two things. Assisted Living Locators is a nationwide franchise. So we have 13 franchise partners in the state of Florida alone. We have over 180 throughout the nation. So we have helped seniors transition across states to get closer to families. But, where was I going? This is my train of thought.
That's okay. Under the show can do that. We appreciate that because, like you said, being nationwide is a big deal. We have families all over the country and they kind of split. We've transitioned a lot. We see a lot of our geriatric population in Florida that have the majority of their family are out of state, or all of their family is out of state. Maybe they came down here in their 50s. They were spry. They were healthy. They joined a country club. They made a ton of friends, but their loved ones are still up north. And so even though they may have some common sense of what's around their community and maybe a neighbor moved there or whatnot, when the family gets involved, which they should be involved, there's then becomes a whole new list of questions that are party to it. So I'm sure that having that national brand and having those national partners allow for education for individuals that are up north and versus here, or as you had mentioned before, where somebody is here and they're aging in place and it's not appropriate, how do you get them to go north and how are they prepared? Well, you have partners up north that now connect to that family up there, the family down here, so that good choices are made.
And
I
it
think
gives
that's
people
amazing.
more choices as well.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes, we're not just looking at the Indian River County or Brevard area. If there's family that live in New York or Connecticut or anything like that, you can have a wide range of options and see which one is best for the family as a whole.
And I do that a lot. So I helped a gentleman transition back to Ohio where his power of attorney was. I help people. I have a gentleman who are helping transition down in Fort Lauderdale. We all work together to, we're all boots on the ground, right? So we all work together to help the families find out what those options are in transition. And like you said, yes, you don't want to wait till the last minute. We plan everything in advance, except for our senior years.
We even often plan our burial services.
Yes.
But we don't think about that period of time where maybe our quality of life becomes jeopardized while we're autonomous and independent in our own homes. And sometimes we think that giving up our independent home means giving up our autonomy, when in reality, that isn't the case. There are a ton of independent living and a ton of assisted livings that actively serve us.
Absolutely. And you can be more independent when you have resources versus being isolated in your home.
Well, I want you to hold that thought, because we do have a commercial break to go to. But when we come back, we're going to kind of jump back into the other side of that topic and what that looks like when you actively are serving. Like, what does a checklist look like for a family? And what do those conversations in real time look like? Perfect. So just hold on and we'll be right back.
Healthy retirement starts at Treasure Coast Community Health. Short waits, easy scheduling, on-site services, wellness visits, chronic care management, and same-day sick visits. Call 772-257-8224 or visit tcchinc.org.
Carmina Burana, one of the most electrifying and recognizable choral orchestral works ever written. The Vero Beach Choral Society, alongside the Indian River Charter High School and backed by a 60-piece orchestra, directed by Dr. Jacob Craig, presents Carl Orff's Carmina Burana. Don't miss this special performance on Tuesday, April 14th at 7:30 p.m. at the St. Edward's School Waxlax Center for the Performing Arts. For details, visit VeroBeachChoralSociety.org. The Blue Angels are back at the Vero Beach Air Show, presented by Piper Aircraft, Inc. Feel the power of the Blue Angels Saturday and Sunday. The Vero Beach Air Show, May 15th, 16th, and 17th. Tickets at VeroAirShow.com.
At Evergreen Media, we know the people, the businesses, and the work needed to take your marketing to the next level. We know where locals go to shop, work, and have fun.
We're here to focus on your local advertising so you can focus on your business. This is our home. This is our business. Evergreen Media. We market, you grow.
Welcome back. Thank you so much. We are always grateful for our commercial sponsors, but our show sponsor deserves a shout out to Dill Evans and Rotaback, a local attorney practice here in Sebastian and Indian River County, serving our community members for well over 30 years. If you have a need for trust services, real estate sales, and family law of any kind, estate planning, please reach out to them. I have no doubt they'll treat you like family, as I've seen them do exactly that with me and my family. Thank you, Rese, for holding that thought. I know we take these little commercial sponsors. Thank you for holding that thought. I know we take our little sponsor breaks and we're grateful for them, but we're also grateful for your time. So before we jump back into what we're talking about, the real question is, how many of us would be comfortable with somebody else making all of our geriatric plans and our living decisions, right? Not many of us.
No.
I'm not. I'm a little particular, and I imagine as I get older, I'm going to be even more so. And I think that having a non-biased individual to guide is a huge ordeal, because you remove the emotion.
Yes.
I would imagine that most of the people you talk to that are elderly are trying to be as independent as possible.
Yes,
so
absolutely.
They definitely don't want someone making decisions for them. Maybe helping them, but definitely not saying, here's where you're going to go.
Absolutely. And that's key, right? So being independent, keeping that as long as possible is key. So helping plan ahead. And what that looks like is knowing what those options are. You may not need it now. You may not need it ever. Maybe you know someone who needs it. It's still about knowing, having those resources, knowing what's around, knowing what those options are, so you can make an informed decision should something come. So for example, my mother-in-law, right, who fell and broke her ankle.
Oh, that's a painful break.
It is a painful break, and it kind of turned her life upside down a little bit. So people don't plan on that. Accidents happen. They're not planned, they're accidents, right? And so we like to think, yes, we're going to stay home forever until something happens and a doctor says, I'm sorry, you're not safe to be at home. Whether it's a physical injury, whether it's a cognitive decline, there are many components to this that kind of change those dynamics. A lot of times you have one senior supporting another, they're supporting their loved ones, but they're both kind of in the same boat. So, if a fall happens, they may not be able to lift their loved one up off the floor, right?
Correct.
So it's about knowing your options, and that's what we're here to do. So are there falls? Are your meds being managed? Are you able to drive and go shopping? Are the bills being paid? Is the house tidy? Are you able to care for yourself and your loved one? These are all things. Are you active? Are you isolating your home? Did the doctor take away those keys?
Ahead for what you may have as diagnoses.
That's
right.
right.
I see a lot of individuals who have a loved one, spouses, where maybe there's some cognizant issues, some age-appropriate dementia, and where one of them has become the caregiver for the other.
Yeah.
And you have to make a good plan. So if you're in that scenario, you might want to not just look at independent living. You might want to look at transitional living so that the options are not so disruptive as life transitions.
Yes. So I'm glad you mentioned that because age in place is important. Every move has a big impact physically and emotionally. We do like at the age and place, you have to look at the big picture. So while someone says, I want independent living now, that's great, but you have to look at the big picture in mind because, if that decline happens, you make contacts, you make new friends, you have the staff, you have the care team. Once you make all these connections, should something happen, as you truly want to age in place, should something happen later on,
you don't want to have to
leave and start over.
Move, make new friends, get familiar with the routines and the entertainment schedules.
Well,
that's right.
Bringing that up, you said a move can be emotional, and physically demanding, but not only that, it could be a mental thing as well, because how many times have you turned into your kitchen and you know exactly where the forks and knives are and you're like, that's where it is.
That's right.
And then all of a sudden these people move to a completely new place and they're get out of their routine. And that I've seen a significant effect on people's mental health as well.
Yeah.
It's huge. And if you have cognitive decline, those changes, right? Any change in the routine, the faces, the new environment, you're starting all over again.
A whole new avenue of decline.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Which is what we hope to avoid as we're trying to preserve quality.
Yes.
So I think that's wonderful. So a lot of people probably are wondering, how much does this kind of service cost?
Absolutely. So it does vary. I'm going to say in this area, the average cost is around $4,000 per month.
For assisted living.
For assisted living, less for independent living, and it can go up. So what it covers is your base rent, 3 meals a day and snacks for assisted living, access to care 24/7, activities, on-site, off-site. A lot of times you have physical therapy there, transportation, nurse practitioners coming in. It includes your utilities, basic cable, internet, and that's what's included. So when you have your home that's paid for, you have maintenance, you have all of these costs that are out of pocket, right? Your utilities and all of these extras.
Yeah.
You have to go shopping.
Your
you have to
vehicle
cook.
insurance, your all of that is
and the unexpected expense if the AC goes out or
that's
anything like that.
Roof repair,
right there.
hurricane season. So here, all the needs are being met. And then you have levels of care. Levels of care is very independent, right? So very independent, unique to each person, rather. So whether it's just med management, whether it is some bathing assistance, that type of transportation assistance, or if it's more hands-on care, meaning dressing and toileting and these types of things. Typically, it doesn't go beyond $2,000, but that is an added expense. So how do you pay for these things? Long-term care insurance covers part of this. Private pay. If you're a veteran, you have that pension and also aid and attendance if they qualify. Medicaid pays towards levels of care. We do help people with, there are options for everybody, and we help everyone who comes our way, whether it's Medicaid assistance, whether it is, veterans, we help them get access to the benefits that they need to make this transition as smooth as possible.
I love that. I love that very much. You know, you mentioned veterans, and I know that a big part of what you do is connecting. So you connect one advocate to a family who has a need that maybe might be slightly out of your scope, or you take that on head on. What does that cost for the client incur from you?
It's free. We're advocates first and foremost. We get paid by successful placement at all the assisted livings. We work with all of them. So we are advocates first and foremost. Upon assessment, we find out what those needs are, whether, how they can stay at home, whether it's home care, home health. We don't do home care and home health, but we do align them with senior industry professionals who do. We get paid by the communities. Our services are completely free. We are advocates first and foremost.
So families can reach out to you. They can have conversations with you. They might utilize your service. They might just utilize your insight for a moment, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And it could be the beginning of the start of their checklist getting taken care of as they too make plans.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Or they can delve head first and allow you to kind of drive the bus around and show them all around like a tour.
That's right.
Right?
That's right. That's what we're here for.
No, it's great. I mean, there's definitely a need, especially in our communities, because we do live in an elderly community. Mm-hmm. And we have a lot of different places that offer services that, these individuals can use. And it's good to have a helping hand when trying to find the correct location, because this is what you do. So you have the knowledge that they don't, and I don't. So you can walk them through, you can guide them, you can give them, an idea of what to look for and what they should expect.
Absolutely. And we tour with them because we're there to answer, make sure everything's addressed, right? Ask any questions that haven't been asked, fill in any gaps to make sure those care needs are covered.
Pull back those
always
curtains
there.
on the windows that looked like they were closed, but they were only hiding something. No, I'm just kidding.
So we're always there.
And speaking of veterans, is there like an event that you have coming up soon for veterans?
Absolutely, yes. Thank you for saying that. So on April 16th, we are going to be holding a senior living connection panel. That's going to be at the Vero Beach Veterans Club, and that's going to be from 3 to 5 p.m.
Front and center. I love that.
Yes.
Is this event open to the public?
It is open to the public. We welcome everyone to come check it out. So we're going to have senior placement, home health, home care, Encompass, legal, safe space on our flight, veteran service officers. So a whole team, a whole panel there just to help answer and address these basic questions that seniors and veterans need.
Yeah.
Great.
And they're important questions, and they're really a determining factor for their next steps.
Absolutely. It's a free event, so please come check it out and know your resources.
So say that again. What time is it on that day?
From 3 to 5 p.m. on April 16th at the Vero Beach Veterans Club.
If somebody wanted to reach out to you, what's the best way for them to make contact?
Phone number 305. I'm sorry, that's my cell phone. Our office number 321-367-3520. It is a tree, so I'll ask you who you want to speak to, whether it's me or Graham or or other agents, or you could just press 0 and we'll get back to you right away.
Oh, I love that. And I know that the families appreciate that time that you invest into their loved ones, and for them, for clarity. None of us want to make lifetime decisions under pressure. As my friends who do work in the moratorium industry say, nobody wants to go shopping on the worst days of their lives.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
So take the help and take the guidance and the history and experience that you have to provide for them.
Yes, and we're all here to help.
Right. And I mean, the event for the veterans, that'll be great, especially because some people are afraid to ask questions. Mm-hmm. So if there's a group of people, maybe someone will ask the same question you had, and that way you can get more knowledge that way. So it's a great way to get more people knowledge.
Absolutely.
Rese,
So,
thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for adding some light onto some of the most difficult processes that our senior population faces. None of us expects that we'll transition out of our home, and I know most of us want to be in our home, but sometimes there's a need that shifts in our lives, and I'm so grateful that Assisted Living Locators and yourself are there to advocate.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Indeed.
Thanks.
Thank you. On that note, we'll see you next week, adding more silver linings to our community. Have a wonderful day.